Alright, hi. Just now, I was scrolling on YouTube looking for videos to help me improve my art style, and I found my own video. Which, first of all, thank you so much for the support that I got on that video. It is quite janky. That is the first tutorial I have ever made in my entire life. I worked really hard on it. It's definitely the video of all time. Regardless, I'm just really thankful that it actually got into the algorithm and people actually found it helpful. I am definitely a perfectionist through and through, so I may have been wanting to be active on YouTube and, have some sort of platform for myself for years and years and years now, but, I didn't feel ready, and perhaps I might have over-prepared and stepped into what I thought was a puzzle, but was actually Mariana's Trench, which was very encouraging and validating, but it was also very terrifying because I have never had 150,000 eyes on me at any point in my life. As someone who has been posting on Instagram since they were 12, I am not used to putting so much of my person out into the world. And I'm sure a lot of you know that putting your art out there in the first place is very scary, but with YouTube, especially if you're making the kinds of videos that I want to make, it's very different. Not only am I using my real voice that is attached to my person, I am also having to gather my own knowledge on something that I care very, very much about and talk about it as if I know everything. I did a very thorough investigation of YouTube and how the algorithm works and how to really present yourself in order to, make a good video. Nearly everything I read and listened to told me to speak with confidence and not to doubt myself, because if you're confident in yourself, then other people will be confident in you. This is really scary for me because if you go anywhere on the internet and talk like you know anything, there are going to be millions of people that tell you that you know nothing. And people like that are everywhere, so I shouldn't really sweat it, but for a human being posting something extremely personal to them on the internet, it's hard not to consider that. With that little note aside, I wanted to talk more about insecurity as an artist, aka hating your art for no apparent reason. What? Anyway, I wanted to talk about how my art sucks. /J, of course. I'm an artist, you can't trust us, but overall, I have not been very happy with my art for months now, and it's kind of driving me crazy. Every time I start something, I kinda hate it, I push through, kinda like it, finish it, great. Next day, hate it. Start the process over and over and over again. It not only sucks because I work very hard on what I do, it double sucks because I feel like I don't have any work to show for the effort I put in. My paintings take like a week minimum to complete in the first place. Sometimes it takes a month and a half, which on its own is very overwhelming, but if I take any less time, it's not gonna feel done and I'm gonna feel worthless. But regardless of overdramatic emotions, taking that long on a painting, it just means you're not going to have as much work than other artists do. On a regular basis, I open my Instagram and I have the urge to archive literally everything because, only my latest piece is representative of my current skill level. It's actually kind of funny because every time I look at my own art, I feel disproportionately motivated to improve, which in any other world would be really good, but I only feel like that because I hate what I see. And no matter how much I work on my art, that feeling never goes away. The problem is, on one hand, I know it's terrible for my mental health, but on the other hand, I know that in the long run, it really helps my improvement. Quite the enticing deal, if you ask me. I just wanted to talk about this because I know a lot of other artists also deal with this kind of thing, especially because I opened a little question box thing on my Instagram story and confirmed such. As perfectionistic as I am, I do want to be happy, which unfortunately is in direct opposition of my current mindset. Recently, I've been trying to cut my paintings a little bit short, maybe not doing the final polishing process, and it's felt better. It's felt like less of a weight on my shoulders, but as a consequence, I hate my art even more now. I swear, every other week, I come up with something to hate about my art, and then I hyper-focus on it for a month until I don't care, and then the cycle continues. When really, all I want is to make art because I like making art. And maybe all of this is a result of me wanting to change my art style almost entirely. Of course, that's going to be a little stressful to go through, especially because the way I see it, art is extremely based on muscle memory. It's really hard to force yourself to do something that is contrary to what you've been doing for 10 years? Half of the time I feel like the problem is that I'm not experimenting enough with my work, that I have to go outside of the box and try some clean line art and super illustrative styles that I'm very not used to. The other half of the time, I feel like I'm being way too hard on myself and I'm forcing change where it doesn't have to be forced. I should probably just let myself develop naturally like a regular artist does. The problem is, I really like feeling like I'm making a difference in every issue that I have. Sometimes I'd rather make up an insecurity just to know that I'm working on it. Sitting still and being happy with myself is something that makes me very uncomfortable. Which is definitely something I want to work on because I want to be happy with my art. These feelings that I have are getting in the way of every single goal that I want to achieve. As someone who dreams really big, especially when it comes to art, it's really hard to feel like I'm there yet. I don't think I'm ever gonna feel like I'm good enough to actually pursue a career in art, which is why you're just supposed to start. In my humble opinion, I believe that continuing is even harder than starting in the first place. Because believing in yourself isn't hard. Believing in yourself consistently is. Success means consistent effort over long periods of time, and if you don't believe in yourself, none of it's gonna feel worth it. Because why put in all this effort if you're gonna fail anyway? The biggest question I have is if I starting, and I start showing up consistently, with a belief in myself that I will succeed, will it make me feel any better about my art? Is a universe where I stop archiving all of my old art, I stop hating on myself, and I start embracing the process a happier one? Will I find a way to be happy about myself without constantly improving? A question like that can only be answered with action, the most scary idea I can imagine. Sometimes the best advice is to just start being terrible at things. Let yourself be bad and post it publicly. I feel like a lot of us have insane pressure to be perfect, and I feel like some of us just need to post a really crappy drawing of a dog on our profile and just move on. Cause what's gonna happen? Someone's gonna say, "You're bad at this?" As dramatic as it all feels, it's just a drawing at the end of the day. It does not really matter that much. A little drawing of a bunny does not constitute self-worth, although it does constitute happiness, which our generation definitely needs a little bit more of. The mentality of this isn't good enough to post on my Instagram profile is detrimental. Artists don't exist just to make pretty things. We exist to express ourselves. We are people whether we draw or not. I think, as an act of self-preservation in a world defined by social media perfection, we artists need to inject a little bit more humanity into the work that we do. At least those of us who struggle with perfectionism. You will never be perfect. And that, my friends, is a blessing, not a curse.